FEMA will not finalize these maps for 18 to 24 months. So the choice we're left with as a state is this. We can either work with these current maps, build to the old standard, or wait for 18 to 24 months to rebuild till they make their final decisions. From my perspective, waiting 18 to 24 months to rebuild is an unacceptable alternative. Rebuilding to the old standards exposes you to the risk of insurance premiums, in that one example, as high as $31,000 to have flood insurance. Doing these new standards will make your building safer and your flood insurance lesser. No question it will increase the cost of rebuilding. That's the downside to it. But there's no perfect solution to this problem. And if we wait, all we're doing is delaying New Jersey's recovery and leading ourselves to indecision and higher cost one way or the other in the future. If they change the maps to lower and you've built to higher, you're going to save in your insurance premiums. And the money you save between the old standard and the new standard will help you to recoup your investment over the long-term ownership of your property. If you choose not to, you'll have to sustain, especially if required by your bank, your mortgage company, to have flood insurance. You're going to have to sustain then the higher flood insurance costs, which could be multiples, 7 or 8 times higher than what you pay now. So that's why I'm making this decision now and putting this into effect immediately. Permits will now be given by rule. It allows property owners who rebuild to FEMA's standards to do so via permit by rule, cutting through additional costs and red tape for families and businesses who need to rebuild. This eliminates the need for thousands of property owners to apply for DEP's flood hazard area permits, saving them $500 in permit fees, plus the design and engineering costs associated with an application, and allowing them to begin reconstruction without waiting for DEP review. You can rebuild your home as it was, meeting the new standards without dealing with additional costly red tape from the state government at DEP. Wet flood proofing. It allows non-residential buildings to be built or reconstructed in a safe and less costly manner than requiring elevations or dry flood proofing. This is critically important for highly dense areas like Hoboken and Jersey City, where the wholesale raising of buildings is impractical and too costly. Foundation requirements. This eliminates the requirements that certain building foundations only have 3 walls, a potentially unsafe construction method in flood-prone areas, as we learned in a lot of buildings in the aftermath of Sandy. This rule protects the public and our residents by ensuring that the Jersey Shore and our coastal communities will be reconstructed smarter and more resilient. I've said this many times because it's important. I'm going to say it again. I can't wait another 18 to 24 months to rebuild the Jersey Shore. That is an unacceptable alternative to me. FEMA will move no faster than 18 to 24 months to approve these maps. So we're going to end the mystery for you and adopt these now as the state standards, and people can then begin to make the economic decision regarding rebuilding immediately, rather than having to wait months or years to make those decisions. The rule will provide some regulatory consistency, ensuring that every development and every municipality will apply the same standards rather than a possible patchwork of local standards on this issue. Having common elevation standards across the state qualifies New Jersey to receive lower flood insurance rates and additional federal assistance under the Flood Insurance Program's community rating system. These measures signal important progress in the rebuilding and recovery effort. Its citizens here in New Jersey, our communities, our businesses are resilient, but they need to get moving now, and they want to. And I've gotten more phone calls and emails and concerns sent to the governor's office about when will we know. People are starting to get their insurance proceeds. They're starting to get additional aid from FEMA, and after Congress, the Senate passes the bill today on Sandy aid and the president signs it, there'll be more aid available for homeowners and for businesses to begin to rebuild. But if you don't know what to rebuild to and what the effects of those decisions will be on your future costs for your home or your business, then many people will just stop and not rebuild. That's not an acceptable alternative to me. And so, as I've said many times in this job, I get paid to decide. Some decisions are popular, some aren't, but in the end, I get paid to decide. Made the decision. This is what we're going to do. We're going to move forward on this basis. If in the future certain neighborhoods, towns have the maps changed by FEMA, their residents will only benefit. If it's a beneficial change where it's lower flood zones, those folks are then going to benefit from significantly lower flood insurance premiums for rebuilding to the standard that they did. This is, I think, what we need to do to build a 21st century Jersey Shore. And if you look up and down this shore in Monmouth and Ocean County, and you look at the type of buildings that were completely destroyed, they were mostly our older buildings, our ones that were built to old, antiquated codes and standards that couldn't sustain the ferocity of this type of storm. The buildings that survived were in the main our newer buildings, built to higher standards, and they're still here. We don't want to go through this again. We don't want one of these storms again, but that one we don't get to choose. This we do get to choose. How we rebuild, we do get to choose.